Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome to yet another video. This time we're actually taking a look at something a little bit different. This is similar to frame generation, but not exactly the same thing. So here we have something called Lossless Scaling. Now I have this software for a while and it's pretty amazing. All it does is basically, like it says, scales up your image, similar to technologies like DLSS, FSR, where you take a low resolution image and you scale it up and you use some AI, finicky stuff, AI magic to basically make it look nicer and presentable on a larger resolution. And as you can see right here, going, from a lower resolution to a higher one, adding in some details, sharpening it up, stuff like that. Pretty cool software, but they recently added this feature, which is called frame generation, which is very similar to FSR. Although this is not on a per game basis, meaning this feature, you can use it with any application. Like I really mean pretty much in any and every application, almost, and you do not need to install any file in any game. You don't need any compatibility. 2D, 3D games, pretty much everything works with it. So basically you need to go here in your Steam, and once you've bought the product, the application, you can just go to properties here, and then you can go to the updates, betas, and you can change here to this option, which is beta. Once you've done that, it's going to update your software real quick, and you should have this frame generation option enabled. And to simply use it in any game, if you do not want scaling, for example, you do not want to upscale your game from a lower resolution, yada yada. You just want this option. All you need to do is you left click here, select this option. That's it. And it does have a shortcut key, so you can go to settings here and you can see this is the scale hotkey you have to press. So if you press this combination, it will, while you're in the game, whichever game you're using, it will just upscale it. And you have a few more options here for VRR support, which apparently says it's not available anymore, but I maybe it does work. I'm not sure. You have to look more into it. But HDR support is enabled according to many people, and so on and so forth. And I also do draw FPS because using things like MSI Afterburner or River Tuner, it does not really show the right frame rate. So yeah, like you have to use these options, its own option, which it's gonna basically interpolate the frames. And yeah, so if you go back. Now, what I've done is basically I'm also using River Tuner here to lock the game to 30 FPS just to show you, because what this does is it takes the game and the developer recommends that your game runs at 60 FPS and that your monitor has a refresh rate of 120 FPS. So it's going to take those 60 FPS and it's going to use frame gen magic to upscale it, to up it to 120, right? I do not have a 120 hertz monitor. I just want to mention that. I'm using a 60 hertz. So instead what I'm doing is I'm going from 30 to 60. Now, the developer does allow that. You can check here that it can work with 30 to 60 FPS as well. Going from 30 FPS to 60 hertz. But yeah, so that's also an option. And which is what we today are going to be testing with a few games actually. So yeah, let's take a look. So I'm manually kind of doing this because my game already runs at above 60, but just to show you how this looks. So right now we are in Spider-Man Remaster, and beautiful game, by the way. Oh, come on. Yeah, I just started and there's already like a thing. But anyways, you can see here, we're running the game. I have it locked at 30 FPS. One of my favorite games, by the way. I really love Spider-Man, and also my boy Sam Raimi right there. So right now you can see if I move the camera, you can tell it's 30 FPS. I don't have VSync on, so maybe you'll see some screen cutting. I'm not sure if it really shows up on the recording. But you can tell it's like, it's not smooth. It's like a bit jittery. There's more gaps between frames. Makes sense, it's 30 FPS, right? Now, if I press Control, Alt, and S, I don't know if you can see, but at the top left there's a tiny 60, where it says 60 on the GPU side. Might be difficult to see right there. And basically, that is showing us the generated frames. So what's the current frame rate right now, which should be close to our refresh rate. So this is my actual frames in the game, and then it's using frame generation to up it to 60. And now if I move the camera around, I hope you can tell, but on the video as well, it's very, very smooth. But I don't know if you can tell, there's a lot of ghosting. There's a lot of artifacting, especially on Spider-Man, on the buildings, and on many many things. So by no means, and on the UI, of course, So no means, by no means is even on the MSF, remember the interface from River Tuner at the top left there, even that has ghosting and artifacting. So this is frame generation, but it does not take into account the UI. So if you use the FSR3 mod by Luke FC, for example, that does take into account UI with some games that Luke FC officially supports on its Discord. Which Spider-Man is one of those games. I have yet to cover that, and I will inshallah in the future. But that's basically about it. So if you go ahead and you try to like swing and stuff, like it's pretty cool. I mean, I love this game, man. Okay, but you go ahead and you sing. It feels very smooth actually. Latency wise, actually not that bad. Okay, there's latency, no doubt. But it's not like, especially with Spider-Man, it's not like bad, Unlike the Steam Deck, I cannot really, I'm not able to show you my hands here, unfortunately. Maybe I'll have a setup for that. But it actually feels very good. However, looks-wise, yeah, there's a lot of image breakup. It's still in beta. And not only that, you can probably tell a lot of times like Spider-Man has like bugginess when I move the camera around. Whenever there's fast motion, it can't keep up. Which I think is one of the reasons why the developer recommends 60 FPS as a base. And then having a 120 Hz monitor to kind of up it to, which would make the game, which would give the the frame gen more data to work with, and being able to generate frames better if it has a 60 FPS to work with. That was a big stat. I'm not sure what that was, but yeah, that's probably my PC. But yeah, there you go. That's basically it. It's very, very cool. Obviously without the frame gen, you can see without it. I've just turned it off. You can see there's no number at the top left. This is how it looks, 30 FPS. Right? Looks very laggy. Actually, I think the input lag is the same as the base frame. So if the base frame is 30, you will still get the 30 FPS input lag, which makes a lot of sense, obviously, because it's just smoothing out the image. But yeah, you can see that it's in terms of playability, it's okay. It's the same thing, And then if I were to just enable that, you can instantly see the difference in the smoothness, right? Okay, well, I just bumped that. No one saw that, okay? I'm amazing at this, right? Okay, but anyhow, that's it with Spider-Man. I'll also demonstrate like 60 FPS real quick, what real 60 FPS kind of looks like. So just if we go here and we just turn off the frame rate thing right here, make it 0. Now I'm also going to disable the frame gen thing. There we go. Now you can see I'm getting like 70. And this is like the 60. And the 60 FPS, of course, it feels very responsive, compared to the 30. And it looks good. It doesn't have that kind of artifacting either. And just to go one step beyond this, by the way, you can actually go one step beyond this, which is if you have this is not a mod by Luke FC this time, but this is another mod, I think by forgot the name. I'll probably mention that in the description. This is an open source mod, but only works on RTX cards. This is the DLSS one, and this one also has frame generation, right? So I'm using a RTX 2080, which does not support frame gen, but with this mod using FSR3, it supports it. And you can get way more FPS. We went from like 70, 80 to like 120. Pretty big difference, I would say. So the difference between kind of integrated frame gen versus forcing it, through other means is big, as you can see, But overall, very, very cool experience in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Okay, so now moving on to The Witcher 3, and this time you can actually take a look at my settings here, which is I'm using ray tracing with quality. Now I am using some tweaks for ray tracing, which does optimize it from Nexus mods and stuff. Just keep that in mind. But basically, so this is not a review of my graphic card, my performance on my PC, but rather a view of the frame gen itself. And here you can see the anti-aliasing. I'm just using TAU so that because with upscaling you get more FPS, so I want to keep that low, right? No dynamic resolution scaling. I'm actually going to disable motion blur because that's not going to be good for the upscaling. And so on and so forth. We have all these things. You can see the quality settings and stuff. And we do not have any other options here enabled, really. It's just defaults and stuff. So if you go in the game, it's running at like 30 subpar, you know, kind of FPS, and 34. You know, it's you know, it's not the best because of the inconsistency with you know, in the FPS. It really doesn't look good. And with no VSync, there's a lot of screen cutting. It's extreme. Again, I'm not sure if it shows up on the video recording, but it's very bad on the screen. But that's basically it, right? Now, what if we turn on the frame gen? Now, this is with the frame gen, the lossless scaling, and you can see instantly, like, it's, you know, it feels smooth when I'm walking in a straight line, but God, look at the edges of the screen. I don't know if you can see that. It's horrible. It's horrendous, right? And if I move my camera around, there's so much warping and breakup, and, you know, it almost would make you feel dizzy, you know? At least I know it would make me feel dizzy. Maybe we can kind of get around that by disabling these extra effects that we have here, which is blur, you know, chromatic aberration, all these kind of effects, just to get rid of any unnecessary stuff that's going on. Okay, the warping on the, at least the bottom right of the screen, I think, got maybe a bit better. I'm not sure. Not sure why the Geralt looks kind of bluish, by the way. But yeah, I'm not really sure if that really helped. Yeah, so 30 to 60 FPS might be doable in areas where there's not a lot of motion, but in this case, yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, it's very mixed result, honestly, quite frankly, you know. So that's basically it, you know. That's what's wrong. It's a cool tech, no doubt. But should you be using it? Well, that's up to you, you know. Do you really want to use it? Depending on the game-to-game basis, it could be better. Also, I'm sorry, I'm getting so distracted because every single person is talking, which is good. It's very lively, but God, it's too much. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to go interact with those people over there right now. My God. All right, let's move on to the next one. Right, so now we're in Cyberpunk, and I'm actually using quite some pretty high settings just so that we can get something across. It's not all that high, but I'm actually using DLSS on performance. I know that's a pretty exaggerated stuff. And we have ray reconstruction on. We're using path tracing with ray tracing just to kind of push it a bit and see what we can really get out of it. And we have a bunch of more options. I should probably disable this for the sake of, you know, quality stuff in the frame gen. And then you can see these rest of the settings and yada, yada, yada. You know, who cares? And then you have video. We have, okay, maybe we do care, but anyways, we have immediate reflex on, which I'm actually just going to disable for now. This is fine. You should probably have it on if you can for the sake of latency. I do recommend it, but just for the sake of this. And we're actually going to disable max FPS because, again, it doesn't really matter. Actually, maybe we should have that on. Oh my God, FPS. So now you can see we're getting like 39, 40 FPS. Okay, maybe I should go to... maybe I should make this balanced instead then, so we can get even worse FPS. Yeah, okay, we're getting like 29 FPS, you know, 28. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to turn on, so you can probably see like how laggy and stuttery it kind of feels. Actually, it is playable if you are okay with 30 FPS. Yes, it's playable, by the way. So it's pretty impressive actually. I would not mind, because do know this is not just the typical ray tracing we speak of, because usually ray tracing is a mixture of you know, path tracing as well as rasterizing, which is two different combinations, you know, realistic lighting versus faked lighting. So it's a combination of that, but in this case everything is completely using like path tracing, like realistic lighting, you know, which is extremely heavy on your GPU and CPU as well, likewise. Anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the frame gen, because that's what we're here for. So, and now you can see we are at 60 FPS. Wow, look at that. Now, if I were to carefully walk in a straight line, it's pretty good, very good. But otherwise, if I look around, yeah, there's a lot of image breakup, a lot of it. Maybe I can disable That, okay. What if I disable that? How is it now? If I can put my gun away, that would be a good example too. But without that like huge overlay at the top left, maybe I should have done that in the first place. It actually looks pretty okay, but yeah, when you look around, there's a lot of garbling and you know, image breakup on the edges of the screen. You know, every edge, like left, right, especially when you look around, like it's pretty bad. Around the weapon, or pretty much everywhere. Latency is subpar 30 FPS latency, which is what I was getting before. You know, with the 30 FPS, so it's exactly 30 FPS latency. It doesn't feel like more latency or lower latency. So you're not gonna feel more, but it just looks smoother, which is very similar to FSR3. But with FSR3, you actually have access to the game's, you know, stuff like the motion vectors and whatnot, which you can use to properly kind of predict what's going to happen, right? And you can actually create a much better frame-generated image compared to this, which it does not have access to that. All it has access to is on-screen data, whatever is being visible to you. And it's not properly integrated. So you'll see, you know, like garbling on UI. You'll see garbling on... For some reason, garbling on UI is not too bad. And other than the map, though, the map is... Yeah, it's actually not that bad. But yeah, in the screen, it's so distracting. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe it's the screen darkening effect that's around the screen. I wonder if that's possible to disable. I'm not really sure. We have filigrane, field of view. I think if you increase the field of view, that could be a plus in terms of, you know, kind of reducing this. I mean, it cannot really increase it much. Okay. That's not bad, actually. Still garbling, but oh god, yeah, if something happens fast, it's so bad. So 30 to 60 FPS frame gen, not the best. Not recommended, I would say. But it does work if you actually, you know, want to give it a try. Not bad. Like, you know, if you're not a hardcore veteran gamer, you don't care about the garbling stuff, I say go for it, you know. It's cool tech. But if you do care about, you know, your image and you don't want this kind of stuff, then for games, especially such as these, I would say go for FSR3 mod. Obviously, the whole purpose of this is just to test it out. I am not recommending this over the FSR3 frame gen because that one is much better, which I actually would like to show in a second. Oh god! So we'll turn on the you know, overlay again, and we're actually gonna. I just disabled the frame gen, by the way. We're gonna use the frame gen from the mod, which is this is the open source mod, and we're getting 50-ish. Not bad. I might have to go to performance to get better, but you don't get to 60. But it is much better in terms of ghosting, in terms of image quality, in terms of everything, right? Really, it is. And if you go to a performance... Oh, it's set to auto. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure why it was set to auto. If you set it to balance, let's see. 50, okay. Yeah, I might have to go to performance. I know most people would not prefer this game to be in performance on a 1080p resolution, and I don't recommend it, you know, just to be clear. But this is just for the sake of getting those extra, you know, extra FUPs, FPS. All right, but pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It works really well with the actual mod instead of using, you know, the interpolate. But the interpolate is a great option for games that don't support FSR3 frame gen. Because remember, you can use it on literally any game. And we're going to take a look at a few of those maybe. Okay, so now we are in, you know, our lovely Monster Hunter world. I actually love this game. And I've been getting back to it again constantly. Well, all the time. I'm always getting back to it. And we're actually already running at 60 FPS here. But for the sake of frame gen and everything, we're going to try to reduce the FPS. Just to see how it really performs. And for the most part, the settings are right in front of you. Not really much to speak of here. All we're going to do is we're actually going to lock it from here instead of Rivet Tuner this time. And you can see the FPS 30 now, and wow, that's a big difference compared to 60. Understandably so. But input lag-wise, pretty responsive actually. Not bad, even at 30. So, yeah, now what if we use frame gen? Now, that's the real question, right? Let's give it a go. And this is with frame gen. Wow, I actually did not test this before. Wow. That feels pretty good actually. Okay, there's some weird stutters for some reason. Like it feels a bit inconsistent sometimes. There's a lot of garbling, like I mentioned in previous games, on the edges of the screen, around the character. around the UI. And if you just remove this huge thing, then it actually makes it a far better, a far more usable. But it's almost like it's like if I were to like draw something, I would say there's a circle in the center of the screen that's visible and it's clear, and the edges of the circle are extremely blurred. It's almost like Fresnel lenses. I don't know if you've ever used like a VR headset with Fresnel lenses, where the center is clear and the edges are blurry. That's kind of how it feels when I look around. That is, like when I look around, it's very much like that. But honestly, not bad at all. I can definitely play like this. Man, I might want to try this on my Steam Deck actually, because I play this game a lot, and this would be amazing to try on my Steam Deck just to see how it works. Apparently, I'm not using the right build though. What build am I using? Why do I have this weapon? Okay, but basically, I'm like a charge blade main. I do use stickies as well for sticky ammo, like light bow gun for. I don't know why I'm explaining that, but it's a fun game. Listen, I love this. I want to try this out on the Steam Deck, and I want to see if I can, because a lot of times I play it on 30 FPS with some settings, profile settings, to get like 2.5 hours of battery life on the LCD model, which is pretty decent. 2.5 hour battery life for like a few hunts. You can probably go on like 3, 4, 5 hunts, depending on how long your hunt takes. I mean, if it takes 15 minutes, yeah, that's pretty good. So pretty cool. Actually, very clean. Again, like I said, the garbling of the edges. I think I would say it's usable. Like if I'm aiming around, if I'm shooting around, that's an innocent. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's okay. I kind of feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. No, oh, it's not that. It's fucking. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Shh, don't worry about it. I didn't see that. Maybe we can cook something. No, we can't. Oh, okay. Well, anyhow, pretty amazing. Very fun. Very fun. Great game, by the way. Definitely recommend this game. And nowadays a lot more people are coming back to it as well. I had like 3 characters. Actually, I have 4 characters, but I had to like do something to get around stuff to get the 4th character in. But yeah, very very fun game. Definitely good experience. I would say usable for that fluidity. Input lag is not bad actually. Just before we finish this up, I want to try using this, but instead of using the frame limiter from here, I'm going to use the frame limiter outside, which is the Riva tuner thing. So we go here and we go to frame limit 30. Now we're using the frame limiter from Riva tuner, and the game is much smoother. Doesn't have those stutters, but I feel like there's added input latency. I'm not sure. Not sure there's really a big difference. But when I move around, oh my god, that's so much image garbling. It makes you like nauseous, it's horrible. Any fast camera motions, you're gonna see some oh god, is this input lag? What's going on? This feels kind of a lot now. I guess it's better to use the frame loader from inside of the game rather than from from Riva tuner itself. Or maybe, yeah, not really sure. It feels okay from inside. I mean, the input lag isn't bad compared to like something like FSR FrameGen, where if you go from 30 to 60, like on the Steam Deck we saw with the VSync, if you've seen my video, like the Witcher 3 video, with VSync at locking to 60, system level VSync by the way, with FSR 3 FrameGen mod, it was horrendous. It was extremely laggy. Like in terms of latency, it was so delayed. The input delay was insane. This is nothing like it. This is very responsive still, but it does feel like 30 FPS input latency with the fluidity of 60, which I feel it feels really weird to my brain, to think about it. Because if I were to just turn off FrameGen right now, right, and I switch to 60 FPS right here, it feels much. It's like actually 60, right? It feels the same amount of fluidity, but of course with no garbling and stuff. But the main, jump from going from 30 to 60 is in fact in the responsiveness. It's so much more responsive, it's amazing, which I think is the main advantage of the 60 FPS. But again, if you do like, a more smoother, fluid image, then I would say there's nothing wrong with using the interpolation method. Again, this is just if you want to enjoy your game, you prefer it to be smooth. But the garbling is going to be there, and it might be more noticeable on smaller screens actually, because, like as I said, so the center is kind of where it's clear, and the edges is where it gets so, so garbled. Like if you take a look here, you can see, so the center is where it's like kind of clear. Around the character is very garbled. The edges are The left and right side is extremely just destroyed. So yeah, latency is there, but yeah. Wow, did the guy just disappear? I think that was just the camera thing. But there you go. That's Monster Hunter World. Let's move on. So now we are in V-Rising, and I'm actually going to change the graphic settings to lock it to 30 FPS right there. Let me just show the overlay right there. And now that it's locked to 30 FPS, you can see this is a 30 FPS. This is one of those games that you do need fast reactions and whatnot, sure. But at the same time, there's not a lot of fast camera movements, so you can sort of go around with that. This is a 30 FPS. Now we're going to try the upscaling real quick, and we try to take a look. Now this is 60 FPS. Now this was pretty good. The mouse, for some reason, is still 30. I just want to add that. So the mouse still feels 30 FPS. Actually, the mouse feels 60 without the frame gen, but with the frame gen, it feels 30, so I'm not sure what's up with that. Like the lag, no, I'm not talking about the lag. I'm talking about just how it looks. It like skips around a bit. But yeah, like the game feels very smooth, 60 FPS. However, input lag when I'm moving the camera, there's quite a lot of it. What about when I'm fighting? Honestly, I can dodge pretty easily, so, you know, maybe that's okay. Not sure. I mean, input-wise, it's okay, but the camera movement, it feels very kind of delayed. But at the same time, this is, I would say, kind of one of the better experiences, because there's not that huge garbling. Like if I just disable this guy, for example, garbling is just not really noticeable in this one. I mean, you can probably see on the character when I was doing the teleporting right there. I haven't played this game in a long time, by the way, so don't mind. Kind of forgot most of the controls, if nothing. But yeah, pretty cool, I would say. And you know, these are like one of those examples where it's playable, you know, but you can still see the garbling and whatnot. This game also has not the best TA implementation. So it does have kind of weird artifacting from that. But overall, hey, you can get games like these and kind of make them look smoother. But you might need more input there. So you might suffer because the input latency is very important. So yeah, if you're going, but I would say it's still playable. Like the input is not actually bad right now. Like it's not really taking long to respond or anything. You know, I'm pressing buttons. It's actually very fast. You know, so yeah, I would say go for it. And this is kind of the case where this type of frame gen is very beneficial compared to every other frame gen we've seen so far. So that's basically what I would say is a pretty good example of frame gen. So is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Well, I would say it's a very impressive technology, and it doesn't really need a lot of compatibility. It just works with pretty much everything. I've even tested with YouTube, by the way, and you know, you can get any YouTube video from 30 to 60. Pretty cool example. But it's not as good as FSR3 or DLSS3 and all those cool frame gen techs that are out there, because it doesn't integrate into the game. But overall, it's a very cool tech, and I highly recommend that if you're interested, especially, and you don't mind, you know, finicking around a bit, and you don't mind the artifacting, that you do give it a try, at least, you know. It's pretty amazing. What we're seeing right now, honestly, very exciting times. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and supporting me on my Patreon. That would help me greatly. And let me know what you would like to see. Thanks for watching. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.